Hey, what's up DIYers? Mike Borders with the Mike Borders channel. Thank you for watching. Hey, in the event that you have a stripped spark plug bore or cavity inside your engine and the spark plug itself is no longer able to grab a hold of the internal thread and secure itself, we're going to show you how to fix this. And in the event that you're working on a car engine, no big deal because it's basically the same. We are working on an outdrive boat engine. Let's take a look. At the back of the boat now, and the 25 horsepower Mercury outboard 2-stroke engine is what we are going to be working on today. Step number 1, safety purposes, disconnect the negative terminal to your battery, cut all electrical power to the system. And we already completed that step prior to putting on our cover. And here it is. You've got the lower cylinder. Spark plug is still firmly secured, and this top blew completely out of the actual hole. And as you can see, I'm not sure if you can really make view of it, but that internal thread is completely ruined and no longer able to hold this plug in place. A few things we will do. We are lucky it's still in the actual plug portion of the wire. We'll shift that aside. This little hose right here, just carefully pull that off. And I'm going to shift that to a side, and I'll also remove this old plug from the actual boot. All right, making progress. Got that hose shifted to the side. I removed the lower boot from the plug and shifted it up, and it's hanging up top. And I removed the plug from this boot, and I've got this boot positioned. Now we have much better access to this area where we will be working on. Shifting our attention over here, this is the actual OEM tool repair kit for spark plug repair systems. So what I'll do now is open it up. At this point I've got the parts removed. This is the tap. This is a tool we will use further in the project. And then you have the actual coil that you're going to insert and secure. And inside this little booklet are your step-by-step instructions. So you can follow along with that as we go through it. So what we'll do first, we have different size inserts, as you can see, and you want to match the actual depth of your spark plug thread to the insert, and that is the insert you will use. For example, you can see the comparison, very similar in depth, so we will not use the longer one or the shorter one. From here I want to go back to the actual engine, and I want to carefully clean out any grime or shavings inside this little hole here. And just be careful because again, you don't want the shavings getting into your skin, and you don't want the shavings falling inside the cylinder. So just kind of clean it up a little bit. All right, YouTubers, the next thing we have our brand new Marine NGK plugs, and with the actual insert, make sure that the thread of your new plug matches the thread of the insert, and it should screw on all the way by hand, as you can see here. Then unscrew it, and once you verify that, it's on to the next step. Next step, we are going to insert the tap. We have a 3/4 socket and extension, and it should go right in here. And once we do that, we are going to lubricate this actual thread on the tap. And you do that for 2 reasons. Number 1, to allow this tap to rethread the inner portion of the cylinder easily, as well as allow all the shavings that come off the cylinder to stick to the actual grease or oil that you use. And I'm not using anything fancy, just a regular grease gun. And I'm just going to carefully release some grease, as you can see here, and just coat the thread of the tap. Once you get this lubricated and greased up, now it's time to head to the cylinder. All right, the next step is extremely important. Again, I've got the tap properly greased, and when you insert the tap inside that hole, make sure it goes in perfectly straight. And you're going to insert it and begin turning it by hand first until it grabs. And once it grabs, you will grab your ratchet and slowly continue to twist it in. Do this very slow. And again, you may see shavings once you get it all the way in to the stopping point, you will slowly begin unscrewing it. And you want to unscrew it just as carefully as inserting it to allow all those shavings to stay in that grease. And look at all those shavings. Back at the actual cylinder, I just want to show you the new thread. Next step, we want to direct our attention to the actual insert, and I want to focus in on the actual design of the insert. You will notice some teeth at the top portion and then just regular thread on the bottom portion. That top portion is called knurled, and you want to make sure when you insert this and secure it, that knurled portion is on the top portion of the hole. From here, we need to use our red high temp RTV silicone gasket maker and coat the thread prior to inserting it in the hole. One last step prior to actually inserting the insert. If you see any additional shavings, just get those out of there. You don't want to fall them back into the actual cylinder. What I've done is continue to actually insert the thread, and as you can see, that is a lot of shavings coming out, and we will continue threading this tap through the hole. All right, YouTubers, it is through, and just as carefully as you tighten it in, you will loosen it back out, and all those shavings, as you can see, will come out and or stay with that grease. Those are all the shavings you do not want inside your cylinder. All right, back at the thread, got it cleaned up for the most part, and that's what the new thread looks like. Again, the knurled portion of the insert, as you can see here, that has to go on the top or exterior portion. Go ahead and hand screw in your plug, and from here we will begin adding the RTV sealant to the actual thread of the insert. Do your best not to get any of this RTV sealant on your plug, because if you do that, you're going to foul out your plug and you're going to experience the same issues you were having with no plug. So again, just work that sealant into the thread. If you need a little more, grab a little more. After coating the thread with that gasket maker or sealant, we are going to insert it by hand and hand tighten it in. Get a good feel for that thread. Do not cross thread it. And it is going in very easily and friendly. And from here, again, if it's not going in as smooth as this is, you have to rethread it. Now it's kind of snug, and we will grab our socket and ratchet and continue screwing it in until it is flush. And you want the knurled portion flush with the face of the cylinder hole. And that looks really good. From here, we are going to carefully remove the plug. All right, the next step is this part. It has a tapered tip, and we are going to insert this into the actual hole, and we are going to hammer it in place. The reason why we are going to hammer it in place is to give that knurled section a chance to bite into the internal portion of the hole and thread, so it never comes out. After that, we have to allow 24 hours to pass by before starting this engine, and that is going to give that gasket maker and high temp sealant time to properly cure. This is under extreme pressure and you don't want any leaks, so allow that gasket maker to cure and dry. After hitting that in place, again, that knurled section tip is now engraved in the actual inner portion of the hole, and that's going to allow that insert to always stay inside that hole when you pull the plugs in and out. Now, I properly gapped the new plug, 0.40. I'm going to hand tighten it, don't cross thread it, and secure this. I'll put the boot back on, and the lower boot, and that hose. From here, I'll put the cap back on, secure it. We have to wait 24 hours, as I just mentioned. I'll see you in 24 hours. All right, YouTubers, we are back. It's been 24 hours. All the overcast skies have moved away. Nothing but blue, clear skies. And we're gonna take the cover off and reconnect the negative terminal to the battery and test the engine. Negative cable resecured to the battery. All right, we're to the back of the engine, got the cover off, and we are going to start the engine and test the engine. Co-starring is my dad, LT. He's gonna start the engine. And basically, you want to verify that the engine is no longer running the way it was with that blown out spark plug. And from here, we can tell a significant difference in engine performance. What we'll do is let it run for about 5 to 10 minutes at idle, and then we'll disconnect from the dock and take it for a test drive out on the actual lake. Alright, YouTubers, we are back from our test run and all went well. From here, just take the cover off, wait about 30 minutes, allow the engine to cool off, and just inspect the entire engine and the plug insert. And make sure everything is still secure and working how it is supposed to work.